Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. This is FPL Insight. I'm Gianni, the FPL guy, and I'm joined. Who's that? It's Dean. That's Dean Jones.
Yeah, certainly not tanned. I don't know why we're talking about the chance of me having a tan. Like, of course, I haven't got a green arrow, but I also don't have a tan. I've been in Chicago. It's colder than here, so yes, I'm back. Thanks for having me back.
We've missed you, buddy. We've missed you. When did you arrive home?
Got back last night. Yeah, so I've been dealing with children's jet lag more than my own jet lag so far. That's fun, but yeah, I had a great time. I saw that you were chatting with Jules and you mentioned the massive Starbucks, and she didn't seem to be that impressed by it.
I was so impressed by that. Like when I saw your photo on Instagram, I was like, that's like a mansion, but it's a Starbucks.
Mate, it was ridiculous. I didn't even know this existed until we got out there, and then someone was like, "Oh, do you want to meet us at the Starbucks? It's like the biggest in the world." I was like, okay, but it's Starbucks. And they were like, oh, no, it's not like your average Starbucks. I was like, okay, yeah, fine. It's like this 5-story thing on the corner of like, it's absolutely ridiculous. And inside, like every floor is different. Like you've got a gift shop, you've got a coffee shop, you've got a cocktail bar, you've got like, it's like a cool place to be in Chicago is going to the Starbucks Reserve. So yeah, it genuinely was like actually one of my favorite things in Chicago. But that was also probably because it was warm in there and it was cold outside. But yeah, wicked place. If you haven't been to Chicago, I highly recommend it to anyone because it's a really, really cool city.
Yeah, I would love to go actually. Isn't it nicknamed the Windy City?
It is, yeah. I mean, and it is windy, but that's not actually why it's called that.
It's something political, isn't it?
It's something political, yeah. So, but ironically, it is also windy and the wind is cold off of those lakes and that river. So yeah, that part's not fun, but you've got to wrap up and just embrace it.
Exactly, I'm with you there. And for a winter trip, you expect it. Guys in the chat, hello to you. Loads of new faces already I'm seeing. Loads of our regulars are with us. Do give us a like and subscribe. Guys, many of you are tuning in. 1, because it's the return of Dean Jones. But 2, I'm hoping it's because you've seen the title of the video and you're thinking, you want to know what Gianni's free hit draft looks like. I hope you do. And look, in the next 10 minutes or so, I'm going to be hitting you with a free hit draft that I have given so much time and energy. And look, will this be my free hit team come Friday? I'm not so sure yet, but I'm very, very keen to show you this draft. I've not put it on Twitter or Instagram or anywhere. This is for you guys. Dean, I'm going to ask you another question just about the US because I'm trying to rack my brains as I'm speaking. Has Chicago did you see any sport out there? And has Chicago got an MLS team? I think it has, right?
Yeah, Chicago Fire is the MLS team. And luckily, I mean, I've been to Chicago Fire before, so on our podcast, we went out to Chicago a couple of years ago and we did some stuff with Chicago Fire and a load of other stuff. But they've moved now. They're in the NFL stadium. They're in Soldier Field, which is massive.
I bet.
Chicago Fire get 8,000 fans. So I was going to go on the Saturday. They played against Dallas. I didn't go because it was like a snowstorm almost. Like it was cold. So I was like, nah, I don't fancy this. And it was 0-0. So I'm so glad I didn't go to that game. Yeah, but there's loads of football, obviously, in terms of Premier League, and it's one of those where you wake up in the morning and it's just like non-stop Premier League action, and you get the early game, the afternoon game, and the evening game. So yeah, you kind of get to see a bit more sometimes than you do when you're back home. So saw most of the action, seen most of the games, and hopefully, yeah, Chicago Fire is Shaqiri's new team. No, you're not wrong. That is right. Shaqiri does play for Chicago Fire. By far the best player on the team. Yeah, not Shaqiri, the old Liverpool player.
Was he at Lyon before that? I think he was in Liga, but okay, fair.
And yeah, Mohammed says Toronto next to watch Lorenzo Insigne. Exactly, like Insigne having this season with Napoli, where looks like he might miss out on this title that looked like he might be getting his hands on. Still capable of doing that. But a big defeat for Napoli at the weekend. Whatever happens, he's coming to MLS at the end of the season. We'll be playing for Toronto, and that will be a good watch. MLS is cool. I'm obviously embrace MLS because of Ranks FC and stuff. But it's good. Although not that Chicago Fire game that I missed.
Guys, if you're tuning in to see my free hit team, I've got a draft coming in the next 5 minutes. But look, guys, we want you to get your questions in as well. And these streams are all about interaction with you guys. If you're new around here, pop a question in the chat. There's a good chance we'll get to it. We'll show it on screen. And Eddie is asking about, he's got 2 free hits and 1.3 in the bank. He's got Tierney and Doherty injured. Rafinha doesn't play this week. Should he go James and Maddison? Reece James, I mean, I bought him in 2 weeks ago and he's to 2 bench-ins. He'll play against Real Madrid. He'll start. He'll probably start the semi-final. And then the Arsenal Premier League game in 33 could easily be benched again. I'm not sure about Reece and Maddison, Dean. He's got 2 fixtures, but he's in Europe as well. He plays in Eindhoven on Thursday night.
Yeah, I mean, James is definitely a surprise. We're obviously waiting for him to come back. Maybe it's to do with the fact they rushed him back last time. I can only assume it's that. And they had this Madrid game in mind, which they now have to win. Look, I guess if Chelsea do go out, as I guess is now expected, then Reece James can come back into the frame in the Premier League till the end of the season, basically. But Chelsea have to have him in reserve and ready for that Madrid clash. So let's see what happens on the back of that. Maddison is definitely having a strong end to the season. He's getting linked with transfers all around the place at the moment. I know he was linked with Tottenham the other day, but I'm told not to read anything into that. Tottenham are not trying to sign James Maddison anytime soon. But look, I think there will be someone in for him. We'll have to wait and see.
United?
No, I think that ship sailed too. I think
that
they
was
were
a lot of chat when Maguire went, wasn't it? Maddison.
Yeah, they were into him for a bit. Also, like doing business with Leicester when you're Man United isn't great. Paid top dollar for Maddison. Also, since then, don't forget they've had a sneaky go at trying to get Brendan Rodgers out of there, and that didn't work out either. So yeah, going to be really tough.
Yeah, good stuff. Right, okay. Without further ado, let's have a little look at our teams. Yes, guys, we're going to give a little review. This is the review show, but we're just going to little look at my team and then Dean's. I got 66, a little red arrow. Disappointing with Doherty going off injured. Looked like a clean sheet was nailed until Hugo Lloris kept having to make save after save. But an okay week. Like no Son was the big rank killer as it was for most in and around my rank. If you owned Son, you had a green arrow. If you didn't own Son, you had a red. It pretty much came down to that. But yeah, I'm fairly happy. Cancelo and Trent show premium defenders, Dean, still delivering those big games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
without clean sheets.
Yeah, exactly. That really interesting games for both of those two. Got slightly annoyed by the fact that people keep talking about Alexander-Arnold's defending and highlighting it and saying he can't. Like that was the toughest game he's ever going to play in his life, probably. Like it was insane the amount of pressure he was under almost every time Man City attacked. They clearly thought they'd have a go at him. I don't think he'll ever have a challenge like that again with Cancelo and Foden and De Bruyne all at him at the same time at times. So I think he did okay. I think he came through all right and certainly made up for it with his assist. Cancelo's Cancelo. I mean, one of your big calls and your good calls was getting Kulusevski in. I think that, you called that a few weeks back looking ahead in the fixture schedule, and he's getting better and better, I think. Like he's looking a brilliant addition to this Tottenham team. So even though you didn't have Son, at least you had him. And Kane, 20 points. Not bad at all. Saka's a big letdown. Saka is a big letdown the last 2 weeks. In fact, almost all Arsenal players are a big letdown. I've got 3 in my team and I put them in a few weeks ago, looking at the schedule coming up and thought, right, they got to get that full spot. They're looking in good form. They've got a pretty settled team. I'm confident of this, and almost all of them have let me down so far. And looks like, you'll probably have a decision to make on Saka soon.
I think so. The fixtures aren't great either. 2 winnable games they've lost. Yeah, really disappointed with Arsenal. Let's have a look at your team, Dean. I'm trying to think what Arsenal players.
Oh, don't bother. Lacazette, Lacazette, Saka, and Gabriel.
And Marty in a slightly advanced role, more attacking than Rudiger. I like it.
Yeah, just push him up a little bit. I need as many players in that other half as I can at the moment. I'll tell you what, my big mistake for this week. There's always one from me, and I ditched Jota for Foden.
I like that call.
Honestly, I was like,
because Foden was always going to start because he missed a chance.
He was always going to start, and I fancied City to win the game. And I thought, well, Jota, it's 50-50 if he even plays.
I'd be starting.
Yeah, so that was disappointing for me, obviously, big time. Calvert-Lewin, how he's still in this team, good, I don't know. And I mean, he's probably still going to stay in this week as well, which is a shame. But yeah, the app, again, very close to getting deleted while I was away, but it's still there. We'll go again next season. But not much else to say, mate, to be honest.
I love the Nuclear Atoms banter. I can't wait till next season, mate, because I'd like to think that with a little bit of my guidance and your already vast knowledge, we're gonna
Mate,
you've got a chance to beat me next season.
I'm getting a lot of stick from my mates. They're like, "Hang on, you're not in the top. You're not even close to winning our mini league, and you're to do a show on this twice a week. Like, what are you learning?" I'm like, "I'm learning slowly, lads. I'm learning slowly." And I've won that league like 3 years in a row, so I am looking like a bit of a muppet at the moment. But yeah, we'll see. I've got to stop. I'm kind of thinking of just stop making changes, to be honest. Like, just see how this rides out.
No comment. I couldn't, mate. I
can't either. But
I wouldn't sleep at night. Desiree, but you've got a decent team there for us. He has. Dean's always got a good-looking team, but the extra mile where the real enthusiasts go into it, those that spend far too many hours, those that don't have young kids and actually have a busy job, like Dean, who does have those things. So like me, I can spend the extra hours on it, and I'm going to make sure, Dean, I don't let you play chips at the wrong time. Like,
that is something I do.
Is the big thing.
I've just remembered, by the way, the week before I brought in Havertz for Mount, so that's cost me as well. So in my last 2 transfers have been to bring in Foden and Havertz and get rid of Jota and Mount. So that's probably cost me about 20 points.
Yeah,
that's quite annoying, actually.
Yeah, I should mention as well, I'm going to have fewer hours to spend on FPL next year because of a newborn baby coming. So I'm expecting a little...
Well, we can advise each other, mate. I'll help you through parenthood and you help me through the FPL world, and we'll get through this together.
Deal. And you guys in the chat can help us along as well. Like always up for seeing your opinions. And the big opinion this week is obviously about the free hit. And guys, I want you to tear into my free hit where you like, where you dislike it, but really give me some love where you do. So without further ado, let's have a look at my free hit team. Here we go. Now, this is Monday's free hit team, and I promise you Tuesday's free hit team will look a little bit different, and by Friday, there'll be probably 4 or 5 changes. But this is where I'm at the moment. And look, if you're going to free hit this week, I don't love it if you've got 1 free hit. If you've got 2 free hits like I have, I think you have to free hit this week. I think the way those extra fixtures have fallen, you go 33 and 36 or 7. I'm going probably 37 because my team in 36 looks good already. So there we go, 33 and 37 and 33. Look, with a heavy heart, I'm going to have to sell some good players because I've got players on, like my Liverpool players, Trent and Salah against United. It's a nice fixture. I had triple Spurs. I've now got double. Chelsea even against Arsenal at home. I'd back Havertz to score again. So I'm going big on some doublers here, Dean, and I'm going big on doublers from not the most consistent, reliable teams like Burnley, like Newcastle. But I've got 2 Newcastle, 2 Burnley, 2 Leicester in my 11. Is that naive or?
Well, on top of that, mate, you've got 2 Man United players and
United
and Saka, who's got a double, and he's not firing either, and Arsenal trying to find a new shape to make them work. So there are a few gambles in here, but as you say, over the court, they've all got 2 games to get something out of this, and that's the punt that you take. And then you have, Son and Kane have obviously got a decent fixture as well to help make up the points. So I can see exactly why you would do it. Also, you can't really read much into consistency this season. It doesn't exist. Like, we all, as I said before, I got an Arsenal because they were the informed team, not just in England, but kind of in Europe. Like, they were in an unbelievable run, and they've completely fallen by the wayside as soon as they've started to have a couple of struggles with player selection, and it could happen anywhere. And Man United, Fernandes and Ronaldo, that looks great on paper. Playing Norwich, and then Liverpool not so much, but still the Norwich game alone is enough reason to have those guys in. Are they going to beat Norwich? Probably, but you can't say definitely. You can't.
You really can't. But I feel like that's where captaincy has to go. If you've got a United asset this week, because of the double, I still feel like I prefer United captain over, say, Kane, who's got a really nice fixture, or Son's, but just because of the 180 minutes that Bruno will get.
Yeah,
it's a tough
exactly
one, though.
that. I mean, around you, how many people would have De Bruyne right now? Because I guess that's the worry. De Bruyne against Brighton could be
Yeah, do you know
be
what? Weirdly enough, De Bruyne still feels like a little bit of a differential at my rank. So I
Yeah.
feel like De Bruyne squeezing him in. I could go De Bruyne over Son, for example, or over
Yeah.
Bruno, or I could go Ronaldo down to a cheaper player and go midfield 5 and add a City midfielder in there, which I am thinking about. At the moment, my single game week players, I've got one Man City player in Cancelo, and then I've got my 2 Spurs lads. And look, Son isn't in my normal team, and the way he's playing, I want him in. But guys, let me know what you think. There's CH said about maybe wondering about City mid. I think we had a question about Barnes over Maddison. I think it might have been FPL River I saw.
Yeah.
And Maddison would have been in this team, 100%. But Barnes was rested at the weekend and Maddison wasn't. And Maddison will play in Eindhoven. And I just wonder if that's like 5-6 games on the trot, playing twice a week for Maddison. At some point, he's going to need a rest. And Barnes, because he's had a rest, might be more likely for 2 starts. But depending on how they go in Eindhoven, Maddison could be in still. I'm not sold on that. I'd rather Mads.
No, I think that's fair. I mean, a lot of people here, Luke, Desire, I think someone else mentioned it as well. Mahrez just seems like, I don't really understand it, to be honest. I'm not sure what Mahrez is to Pep Guardiola these days, because over the course of the season, he's been one of their players of the season. There's no doubt about that.
Top goal scorer.
Yeah, if you pick like the top, certainly if you take the top 5 Man City performers across the season, like Mahrez is in there. But he's not starting. And
who knows if he'll start against Brighton, because they play the FA Cup game first and then this game after the deadline. So we can't even go off the first game.
That's tricky. That is tricky. So I think that's something to bear in mind. I mean, as you've all seen, like I have got Foden already, so I'm obviously going to stick with him for now. But it is a bit of a gamble at this stage, because we don't really know what sort of City lineup we're going to see over those 2 matches.
Yeah. You really need the intel from the Liverpool FA Cup semi to the City lineup and also the Liverpool lineup. You could argue the same. If you're a Jota owner or a Diaz or Mane over, you want to see them play in the FA Cup first, and you're not going to have that luxury. What do you think to Nuclear Atom's question here, Dean, about Ronaldo?
Ronaldo might get suspension because of hitting a fan. I doubt it. I don't think he will. It was silly. He'll apologise. I mean, I haven't seen any news today that's saying that is likely, but it was a very strange moment. That's all I can say. Like, I don't really understand why you would ever do that. It was bizarre, almost as bizarre as then inviting him to come watch a game at Old Trafford. He's an Everton fan. He don't want to do that. He's got absolutely no interest in doing that. If he does, he's going to graffiti Everton stuff all over the place. So you shouldn't be inviting him. But yeah, very, very strange situation that was.
Yeah. I saw people on FPL Twitter saying, how out of order it was, and rightly so. No one condones that, but saying it's as bad as Zuma kicking a cat. And I'm like, hang on a sec. These are different things. Like, I don't think you should be slapping phones out of kids' hands, but different leagues.
He should just be buying him a new phone and paying for his data for the rest of his life. That would have been enough.
Unlimited data everywhere in the world. Panda Bear, I think you're new around here, Panda. You certainly are in the comments. Give us a like and a subscribe. And look, all of you guys in the chat, there's 38 watching now. Happy to give us that thumbs up if you like what you're seeing. Also, hit that notification bell. But Panda Bear's on a free hit 33 too. Got a lot in common here. Surely we can't ignore Liverpool. Knowing what happened earlier in the season, you're right. But if I go Liverpool, I could go Salah instead of Son. I know they're different prices. I could make that work. But I just want to back I don't want too many single game week players. And I have to have Spurs attack. I have to have Cancelo. Do I have to have Liverpool? Maybe. If they were playing United first and the FA Cup semi-final after. But for all I know, Salah's going to get injured in the FA Cup, or he's going to be exhausted and maybe get a rest, or I don't know. I just can't back those Liverpool attackers. And Trent's the same. I should be going Trent, but I've got to go big on doublers, I think. What do you think, Dean?
I think so, yeah. I've got to agree with you on that one. But also, I'm not the person for you to be asking, mate.
I could go for a budget. I could try and cover Salah and go for a Diaz or a Jota, whoever I think will start, instead of, say, a Saka. I could try and make that work.
Yeah.
What do you think to Gabriel Jesus? Because he played at the weekend, and not many people called that.
No, I mean, he didn't really play a false nine, did he?
Played on the right, didn't he? Instead of
Mahrez. Sterling was the false nine in that game, and I mean, Pep was just wise to what Liverpool do, and he basically looked to exploit the space that Liverpool leave, and Liverpool don't leave a lot of space, and the only chance you get to stretch the pitch, which is what Guardiola wants to do, is by getting in behind those fullbacks, and that's what Gabriel Jesus gives you these days. I mean, even for Brazil, he plays I think on the right side of their attack now rather than through the middle. And I thought his tactics worked well in that sense. He was able, obviously, we talked before about trying to expose Trent. And that's the thing with Liverpool, that there are very few flaws to their game. But if you were to kind of highlight a weakness, it would be that you can try to get into those gaps and then put them on the back foot. And that, I thought it worked well for them. But I see that as a one-off game plan. I don't think Jesus is now like a main part of that Man City front line. I think that Pep just identified that, like, for that particular moment, he was a very good fit and could carry out exactly what he wanted, and he did it well.
Yeah, very few teams that City play are going to have as much possession as Liverpool and have the attacking threat of Robbo to exploit. So, yeah. Luke's asked about free hit in 35. And yeah, Luke, I really wanted to see some doubles in 35. And look, we could still get one or two, like Aston Villa could double, Palace could. That Palace Villa game could go into 35. But I think it's unlikely. And I think they have to beat Chelsea in the semi-final for that to become a possibility. So the 35 double, I'm not in love with now. But looking to wildcard in 34, I would still wildcard 34, free hit 37, Luke. The 37 doublers, we know who's there. You can avoid players from those teams. Like, for example, Everton have Brentford and Palace at home in 37. I think DCL on a free hit team for 1 week only, that week could be really nice. So there's a few fixtures that, Leicester double, Burnley double. There's a few, Villa probably will double. So I'd go 37. But wildcard 34 is great because you can dead end your team by bringing in a couple of like left field punts in this game week 33. Like if you want to take a punt on a United or Newcastle asset, do it because you haven't got to live with it for long.
Yeah, live with it for long is exactly the way to describe it. I had a Man United fan earlier describe as supporting Man United is now a job. It's not even fun. Like it's just something you have to go through every week. Like you support them, and you're like, oh, got to go through this for 90 minutes now. It's kind of how it feels, isn't it? And even putting their players into your team, not something you're looking forward to. That, there was once upon a time where United home to Norwich, you'd have been like, oh, I can't wait. I've got Bruno and Ronaldo. How many points are they going to get me? Like you might get like 6 points there, like 8 points. Who knows?
God, that will be depressing.
That would be depressing. Sorry, Matt.
What do we think to Salah out for the season? I mean, he's not looked as sharp. He got a nice assist, but he didn't. I actually put a bet on a shot on target for Salah in that Liverpool City game, thinking he'd get 10 shots on target, and he's just a bit shot shy. He's not the main. Of course, he's the main man, and he's getting minutes and stuff. And he's the only one that's nailed in that front three, but it's not the same old Salah, is it?
It's brave to get rid of him. I mean, Liverpool chasing a title. He's going to play almost every single minute. He's top scorer. He's the main man in that team, and they've got big fixtures to win. Even just coming up, Man United at home, Everton at home. They've got Newcastle away, Tottenham at home, Villa away. Like that's a massive risk to take Salah out for that bunch of games.
I don't think I could even comprehend that. I know I'm taking him out on a free hit, but that is an isolated incident. I might even bottle it, and Salah comes into this free hit draft. I'm not ruling that out. Yeah. Up front, I've gone Chris Wood in his Burnley shirt there. Obviously, Chris Wood is a Newcastle player. Yeah. My mistake when I said I got double Burnley, I glimpsed at the claret and blue. Yeah. Anthony has said Wood versus ASM on a free hit. My fear with St. Max is that he gets injured after the first game. I just can't bank on him for 2 starts because of his injury record. But in terms of lively rating and like involvement, and at the same price pretty much, I probably would prefer St. Max if I knew both were going to start both. But now Wood's got his goal, pen albeit, I'm going to back him, I think.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, I mean, St. Maximin, like his future doesn't even seem safe at the moment at Newcastle either. I'm wondering if they're moving beyond him. I know that Eddie Howe kind of tried to play it down and said he's a great player. Of course, he's got a long-term future here. But from what I'm hearing, St. Maximin wants a new contract. He wants, hefty pay rise. And I'm not sure that that's what Newcastle have in mind here. Like, if anything, they're thinking of replacing him with a better player. So, interesting few weeks ahead, I think, for him.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I found those comments funny that he's playing it down. It's like, yeah, but you've also not been playing him the last month.
Yeah, it was a weird one, wasn't it?
Anthony, good to see you, dude. Give us a like and a subscribe if you're new around here, Anthony. I don't recognise your name, so welcome to the stream. Man Ruse, same again. Welcome to the stream. Thoughts on Tellez as a 1 week punt? I mean, yeah, he looks like he's got the slot at left back, but United don't look like they're going to keep a clean sheet against anyone. And look, if Pukki steps up and gets a goal at Old Trafford, you wouldn't be surprised. And look, Tellez could be on minus points against Liverpool. We know what they did to United earlier in the season. I'm veering. I know it looks mad that I've spent 25% of my budget on United attack, but I'm not going anywhere near United defence.
No, I've got De Gea in goal, and I'm half hoping that obviously he can keep a clean sheet against Norwich. But Norwich have just had a nice weekend, which doesn't happen very often. And you just think, well, they might be buoyed by that, and they'll have absolutely nothing to fear of going up against Man United defence. So they could easily go ahead even in that game, to be honest with you. I mean, the confidence in the United backline seems to be pretty shot. So I'd be a little bit cautious. I mean, it's a differential. I guess you could take a punt if that is the word you use, but that is exactly what it would be.
Yeah, big pun. Guys, you might notice we're a little bit different around here. Like, we obviously talk FPL, but we have some really good football insider information from Dean. And there's huge value in that from an FPL perspective, because when we look at things like starting 11s or even transfer rumours or systems managers play or formations, this is all really useful when we're picking our FPL teams. And Dean's got a little bit of insight for us. And we do this every Monday and Friday, but we have a dedicated section on a Monday at 7. And guys, check us out Friday, 7 p.m, Monday, 7 p.m. Coming up next, we've got Dean's Notebook. Here we have it, Dean.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just look at the game week gone by as we start to do this, and pick out a few storylines from those games, and also, I guess, going forward, how they might be affected. The first one I'll pick out is Brentford 2, West Ham 0. Obviously, when Becky Ives was on the show a couple of weeks ago, she was like, in no doubt, she covers West Ham regularly. She's like, get out of West Ham players. Like, don't have them in your team anymore. There's no point. It's all about the Europa. And it seems like that is going to be the case. The only one that I'm kind of wondering about is Jared Bowen. If you were to take a punt on someone, it might be worth a go on him. Talk about a new contract, but also a lot of talk about a transfer for Jared Bowen. Now, it was all about Liverpool and then potentially going for him. If they don't, then it looks like Newcastle are going to go for Jared Bowen. And any time it looks like a player is in the last stretch, potentially even of their time with the team, they do go on a little goal run and they want to say goodbye in a nice way. So I just keep an eye on Jared Bowen out of that West Ham team as we move forward. Another one that I was going to highlight. Sorry, I was just reading the screen there. I thought it was
Dean, on that, before you move on, my wife's big on sort of a bit of celebrity gossip, and mentioned to me the other day, reminded me that Jared Bowen is dating or maybe engaged to former Love Island winner. I can't remember her name, but Danny Dyer is her name. And she's Danny Dyer's daughter. So Danny Dyer, the actor, his daughter is Love Island and stuff. Yeah. Proper Essex girl. West Ham, Essex is Jared Bowen's patch. Very happily there with their family. Moving to Newcastle, how much do footballers consider that whole, that he's going away from his beloved sort of area of Essex, but usually if the price is right, you go. When you've got a wife or a girlfriend that's kind of fixed in that area, you're going to start a family. Does that, moving them all that way to Newcastle, does that play part of a player's thinking, or is it money talks?
I mean, if the type of money Newcastle are going to be spending, I think you'd probably have to jump on it, wouldn't you? And Essex and Newcastle, not a million miles apart in terms of culture. So I'm sure they could embrace it. I didn't actually know that, to be honest with you. I didn't realise that they were together.
Yeah, imagine having Danny Dyer as a father-in-law as well, who's obviously a big West Ham fan. Well,
he probably won't let him leave, actually, would he? That's probably the most important thing to take into account.
I'll remind you, remember this stat when you're doing your transfer stuff on Ranks FC, that like those little nuggets of information that really shouldn't matter, probably don't, but I brought your attention to.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. It's always worth it. It's always worth something. These little nuggets of information, The other game I wanted to talk about was Aston Villa getting hammered 4-0 by Tottenham at the weekend, and Tyrone Mings, having a game to forget, lucky to avoid a red. Now, I just think like this Villa defence is worth keeping an eye on. Not because I think you should be putting their players into your team, but perhaps we should be looking at them and thinking maybe we should target them, because they're all over the place, Aston Villa, and like they're having some we've had a few terrible results recently. I think they'll have a few more terrible results. I'm pretty convinced that Steven Gerrard is looking for an overhaul of this side. I'm not sure that he rates Mings, to be honest. There's talk also of Konsa leaving.
Yeah.
He's been linked with Arsenal. I don't think there's anything in that, if I'm totally honest. But before this season is done, I can see them collapsing a couple more times. So it might just be worth, if he's still in the team, even, to be honest, because I think there's a chance that Mings might even be dropped. But just keep an eye out on Villa and any sticky fixtures coming up, because I reckon there's some potential to be had there.
Yeah, Callum Chambers came in a few weeks back and played all right, but Konza was actually benched in those games, wasn't he? So he doesn't fancy either of them, clearly.
I don't think so, no. And I could see him perhaps even buying 2 centre-backs in the summer.
Yeah.
The other one that stands out, I mean, Arsenal 1, Brighton 2. A shock result for me, as I say. Like, didn't see these back-to-back results happening for Arsenal. The left-back situation is absolute disaster. Like, Kieran Tierney not being there is... Well, it's literally left a hole in the side because they can't fill it. They'd spent £8 million on a supposed replacement in the summer in Tavares, and they clearly don't rate him. Like,
wow, I thought he was an academy kid. I didn't realise he was a transfer in and that sort of money.
Yeah, I think he was from Benfica.
Wow, yeah.
So, it hasn't helped. Well, his confidence will be low, I'm sure, being left out the side for Xhaka to play at left back. But the problem is with playing Granit Xhaka at left back, even if he was any good there, which he doesn't think he is, you're then taking him out of a midfield, which has looked so secure. And with Thomas Partey not there anymore either, there's suddenly this massive hole, and you're dropping Odegaard in there and you're bringing Lokonga back in. And this is the part of the problem with Arsenal right now. They've had a setup that's similar to how they were in the first half of this season when they had all their problems, and then they solved it around like Christmas time, got back into really good form because they had a really solid base, and that was a lot about that midfield and the defensive lineup. It's not there at the moment. I mean, they've got to fix it really quickly because otherwise they're not going to have a chance of finishing top 4.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's been terrible couple of weeks, and yeah, I think Spurs are just so good at the moment. They're scoring 4 or 5 goals a game. They've got to say they're odds-on favourites almost. I can't see how Arsenal are going to just keep grinding away good results.
Yeah, all you can say is like maybe they won't have the consistency, because we were saying exactly this about Arsenal recently. I thought Man United were going to do it, then I thought Arsenal were going to do it. Now I think Tottenham are going to do it, but there's still enough time for there to be one more twist here, and for one of those other teams to just go on another run and be in that position on the day the season finishes.
Yeah, Mike's asked, Arsenal are done. I'm not going near them for real. Yeah, I mean, Arsenal have got Southampton, Chelsea in a double game week. Now, someone like Ramsdale has been so highly owned this season. He's in my team. I'm probably free hitting, almost certainly, I'm free hitting Ramsdale out. Like, do I think Arsenal keep a clean sheet at St Mary's or Stamford Bridge? No, I don't. Like, especially without Tierney. I know Arteta's been solid this season, but recently they've looked poor. Brighton had a good go. Palace had a good go.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah. FPL River saying, any chance of Rudiger staying at Chelsea?
Great question.
It's a very slim chance. I mean, there was no chance, to be honest with you. The only thing that might change this is new ownership, because some of the people involved in the potential takeovers have been in touch with Rudiger's people and are like, look, I know that you've struggled over a contract. I know that like what you were looking for wasn't there. He was looking for a lot of money, but he was also looking for Chelsea to kind of show the respect that he felt he deserved for emerging as one of, if not the best centre-back in Europe this season. So whoever, once that takeover goes through, there could be a massive offer on the table for Rudiger that convinces him to stay. So that's something to look out for. He's already got massive offers elsewhere, though, and he's definitely contemplating 2 of them that are abroad. I don't think he'll stay in England, I've got to admit, even though Man United are giving that a little bit of a go at the moment. So we'll see. Let's come back in a couple of weeks and see.
He's been a great FPL asset. He's been a good, very amazing defender at Chelsea. But when you see Rudiger in a back 4, he's not the same player. And most of the clubs he's linked with play a back 4. And I'm just looking at it going, when he plays for Germany, the reason he doesn't play well is he plays in a 4 often. If he was in the United team, I think he'd look out of place. I think he'd look poor. So yeah, as much as I want him to stay at Chelsea, I don't think he's as good as perhaps people think when they realise he's in a 4. He's going to be caught out.
Maybe, yeah. But he has been a good leader, is what I would say. Like, I think that he's
Yeah.
grown in that sense. I think that for Chelsea, he's been a really important character. I think that the way that he carries the ball out sometimes is very important to them. And he's had a bit of connection as well with the fans, which I think has been important at times too. So I don't think it's just about that. I think there's more to him as an all-round guy.
Yeah. Dean, Nuclear Atoms is asking about the situation with Everton. Do we think off the back of home form's always been good, but we know what happened at Turf Moor. They lost and things weren't looking great. They then go and beat United at Goodison. They've got a couple of big home fixtures. Do you think Everton or Burnley go down? Nuclear's asking. Everton have got home games which still include Leicester in 33, Watford in 36. No, sorry, Leicester in 33. They also in 37 have Brentford and Palace. 3 big winnable home games, those. You win all 3 of them, 9 points, you stay up, I think.
Yeah, I think Everton just have a better team, to be honest with you. And yes, like we've seen some good teams fall out of the Premier League before just because they can't find that connection that's needed. But they occasionally pull out a win that you don't see coming, like at the weekend, and it brings everyone together again. And they just have to make sure that if they can build even 2 or 3 weeks of momentum where they're not losing, then they stay up. Like Burnley just aren't that good. And they've left it a bit late to show that they can be. I thought a few weeks ago that they might have enough in the ranks to stay up. I thought that Sean Dyche's kind of mind games and man management would get them over the line. And, he had that little dig at Frank Lampard last week. And you thought that might be a turning point, but now it doesn't look like it is. I personally think that Everton will stay up.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. Evening to Harry as well. Guys, give Harry a follow. He's a great YouTuber in his own right, and you can check him out on Twitter as well. Great tips always on Twitter on with Harry. Guys, coming up next, I'm going to give you, like Dean's given a great insight into his notebook, and we've kind of been showing you the results of game week 32. And with that in mind, I just want to give you a little nod to some of the eye testing I've been doing this week. Guys, keep your comments coming in. We do have comment of the stream, as always, coming up in 5-10 minutes. And at the end of the show, in 5 minutes' time, we'll be answering all your questions as quick as we can. So keep getting them in. But in terms of eye test reporting, I just want to touch on a few players that perhaps we're not all looking at, perhaps not so popular. And one of them is someone that's, I think, about 18% owned when I last checked, and that's that last fixture on the right is Watford nil Leeds 3, and that's Rafinha. He is playing out of his skin at the moment, and I really like how Leeds are playing under Jesse March. I think now he's settled in, we can kind of see what he's trying to do. And we were worried when Bielsa left that we wouldn't see attacking Leeds. Well, we still are seeing attacking Leeds, but also a Leeds that can stop conceding lots of silly goals. And I just think with Rafinha, he's playing for a move next. I mean, Dean, I want your take on this, but I don't think we're going to see him at Leeds next season, but how he plays between now and the end of the season might affect the contract he gets at a new club and what new club he goes to if that's not wrapped up yet. And I just think as an FPL asset, he is incredibly involved with absolutely everything. He's a bonus points magnet, bonus again at the weekend. And look, Leeds have got some okay fixtures. They don't play in 33, but look, this is what your bench is for. I don't think you should be selling Rafinha in game week 33 unless you can't get 11 men out, because in 34 it's Palace. Sure, 35 against City isn't great, but they do double in 36. And it's a hard double, but I still think Leeds could score in both those games against Arsenal and Chelsea. And then they finished the season last game at Ellen Road for Rafinha potentially in game week 37 against Brighton. I could see goals there. And then Brentford on the last day, who knows? They're just playing like they look like a team that aren't feeling the pressure anymore. They know they're not going down, and therefore they're playing with a little bit of swagger.
Yeah,
what do you think, Dean? Where does he go?
I mean, he'll go abroad if he does leave. And I mean, it's probably just edging towards that being the case. But both he and Calvin Phillips and, a lot of this Leeds squad have really, really been impressed by Jesse Marsh. That they love, from what I'm told, they love playing under him. They think he's a great guy. He's reinvigorated the place, and it's exactly what they needed. I think a few people have been skeptical, mainly because he's American, but I think that he's quickly won them over, and it's been important to do that. Rafinha is one of those, but he's got some massive offers, and obviously the fact that he's not English means that he's got no loyalty to staying in the Premier League necessarily. So if Bayern Munich or somebody like that does genuinely want him, he'll probably go. Whereas Calvin Phillips, he's still waiting on his contract offer from Leeds, and if it's good enough and they're going to show some ambition going forward next season, I think he could be talked into staying. So yeah, Rafinha probably still goes, but there's hope for Leeds because I think that Jesse Marsch is going to create something else special, maybe even on Bielsa terms.
Yeah. The disrespect Jesse Marsch has had in the first few weeks of his managerial sort of reign at Leeds really, really annoyed me just because of the sound of his voice. It really bugged me.
Really annoying.
Great manager. Desiree said about better option than Saka. I mean, Saka's unlikely to leave Arsenal and they're not in the market for a right-sided forward. But given the choice, who would you pick, Dean?
I'd prefer Saka, I think. That Saka is going to be something very, very special over the next couple of years. I think Saka will end up getting a transfer eventually. If Arsenal don't start actually achieving in the next season or so, then he won't be able to hang around because he's too good. And, we've already heard Jurgen Klopp talking him up. That's because he wants to get into his head a little bit and know that, mate, I'm watching you. Don't worry. If this doesn't work out, we'll find a new home for you. And that's a lovely feeling for a player like Saka, who's bounced back brilliantly from the Euros, obviously. I think he's got an amazing future. So, yeah, I'd have to stick with Saka.
Guys, my next eye test sort of nod out is to a player that is 50% owned in the top 10K. Now, the top 10K, when you see the players in there that are kind of 60, 70% owned, Saka's 90% in the top 10K. Trent is around 80%. Like, these guys are heavily, heavily backed, right? And that's why these managers are in the top 10K. The top 10K rarely make a mistake. Well, they have on this next guy. I cannot believe Cancelo is in around half of the teams in the top 10K. He should be in every team in the top 10K. He is the standout defender in the game at the moment. He's not got a sky-high price. He's not Trent money. And he delivers week in, week out. And look, you don't just have to watch the games to see it. You just need to look at that number each week. And he constantly gets returns. Against Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park the other day, for a few weeks back, I think it was a 0-0 game. He still got 3 bonus points in a 0-0. Like, the guy, and I think he hit the bar from the 30-yard long ranger. I just think the end of the season running, I can't see City conceding many. I think Cancelo will get some decent attacking returns and he always gets bonus points. So he's definitely someone you guys have got to be looking at. Dean, is Cancelo like is he the league's best left back after Robbo, or is he ahead of Robbo?
It's hard to compare them, isn't it? Because they're not. Cancelo's barely a defender anymore.
He's a playmaker.
But I mean, FPL terms, he's definitely ahead of Robbo. And he's a very special player. There's not really that much chance of serious rotation with him either. So it doesn't really matter in terms of competitions. Like, he'll play the majority of matches. Probably will miss 1 or 2 just by circumstance. But I think he's a big guy to be backing right now. FPL River says Cancelo was transferred out by Loads a few game weeks back, and I never understood it. He's nailed on in my team. And that seems pretty fair to me.
Yeah. And my other one, just third and final sort of eye test nod is to Leicester as a team, just how well they are playing of late. And I just think with that double, Leicester midfielders are definitely one to look at. Like, of course, Barnes and Maddison are the popular ones, and that Barnes was rested, which perhaps increases his chances of playing twice in the double for those on a free hit. That's why he's in my free hit draft. I prefer Maddison. I like Maddison's new role, which mostly he's playing right of a 3. Although saying that, I think last time out against PSV did go back to his midfield 3 role. He's probably still the standout. But look, at the weekend, we saw Dewsbury Hall score that cracker against Palace, and he moved into a really advanced role, and he's a budget midfielder. So again, I think one of these Leicester guys is someone to look at. And then as Luke says in the chat, the Leicester goalkeeper is the only player we can probably safely say is going to start both games in the double. And Schmeichel's like 4.7, 4.8. He's someone I think that I've got in my free hit draft because I just know he's going to play both games.
Yeah, we're going to speak about him in a bit more in a minute. But Dewsbury Hall's definitely an interesting one and a great goal at the weekend. He seems to be one that's going to make sure he's in this team next season.
Yeah, Alistair's saying, great stream, enjoying it. He subs. Thank you, Alistair. Deserves more viewers. Yeah, look, we'll get there. This is a new channel and we could do with your help and support, Alistair. So thank you for the like and subscribe, and do tell your friends about us and post about us on social. It's mad to be looking at Wood captaincy. He's only just scored a pen, hasn't he, for Newcastle? But you do wonder if that goal we see a little bit of a knock-on effect. Two home games as well. St James's Park is often a factor, isn't it, Dean?
It is, yeah. I'd probably want to see a little bit more of him by now, especially from open play. Take a punt if you want. You've got nothing to lose at this point of the season, probably. If you have, don't do it.
Yeah. If ever there was a case to say you need to captain a double game week player, and you just feel like you got to do it, I think we've probably just seen a good case study there. You perhaps feel the need to always back the doubler, and he's an option. He's an option.
Yep, absolutely.
Guys, let's have a little look onto our last feature of the night before we answer your questions, and that's FPL Visa.
Yes, okay. Well, this is where you earn your money, mate. So let's just rattle through these. We're going to play accept, delay, or reject. One player from each position this week. You can leave your comments as well in the chat to see what you would do with these players. So here we go. The goalkeeper to accept, delay, or reject into your team this week would be Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, I've just spoken about him. I'm accept there for the reasons I just said. We can almost guarantee he plays both. Second choice at Leicester, I think, is it Jakupovic? Whoever it is flagged and he's out. So they would have to play the third choice, which they're just not going to in Premier League minutes. Unlikely.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think you'd have to accept him at this point, wouldn't you? He's a great goalkeeper, and when Leicester are good, it's usually because Kasper Schmeichel is good. FPL River says accept. Nuclear says he would delay. Not much time to delay these times. I mean, we've only got 7 match weeks left, so we're starting to get down to it. Most people actually saying accept though in the comments right now, so I think that's a pretty good take. Let's move on to the defender. We're going to go with Newcastle's surprising Dan Burn, because I didn't think he'd be as good as he is. What do you reckon? Accept, reject, or delay?
He's been brilliant, and I like a Newcastle defender for this week, especially for all the Doherty sellers. I think you go Shah or you go Target, though. So I'm going to say delay, but I love the team. I'd say accept Newcastle defender, just not Burn. And look, it should be Burn. Burn's 4.4. He's 6'6", but for some reason, his goal involvement's always really low. And you look at goal involvement on perhaps a Shah, and he just outperforms him. So you go there. You go there.
Yeah. I mean, I would reject him personally, but I know that Newcastle very, very happy with Dan Burn, and to the extent actually that in the summer they were going to sign 2 centre backs. I think they might only sign 1 now because they think that Dan Burn's done well enough to get a long stay in this team and try and help them step up to that next platform. Man Mountain, John says, accept. Denver says getting him for 33. Desire, though, says reject. Right, let's move on to the midfield, where it's a little more exciting. And this is a guy that I ditched a couple of weeks ago. Thought I'd get more out of Kai Havertz, but what we're saying about Mason Mount at this stage of the season, mate, because he has really come into his own recently. When he plays well, Chelsea play well. 6-0, a lot to do with Mason Mount. Accept, reject, or delay. Was that as good as it gets, or should we still get him?
Do you know, he's a bit of a flat track bully, Mason Mount. He's got 144 FPL points this season. 40% of those points came against Southampton and Norwich. And then, and if you include Watford, 48% of those points came against 3 teams. Pretty much half his FPL points have come against Southampton, Norwich, and Watford. Oh, wow. By the way, he plays Watford in game week 38, by the way. But it's 3 game weeks. So he has these weeks where he goes absolutely chicken oriental. And then he has the weeks where he's just going to have 3-4 points. Yeah. So for me, I still prefer Havertz. So I'm going to say delay, but you like him against the weaker teams.
Delay till week 38. There you go. There's very specific advice in FPL Visa. It's a delay. Chelsea are weird at the moment. It's quite a good description of the way that they are at the moment. Right, striker, last one of the night. Brentford's Ivan Toney. Now you've rejected this guy a few times since we've
every
started
week I
this.
do.
Yeah, we've talked about him various times. People are like, should I go for him? We're like, no. Well, here's another opportunity. Have you changed your mind?
Oh, no, I haven't. I'm so stubborn on it, and I really should have changed my mind. Like every week, he kind of proves me wrong. Like I was very much. He's the second highest forward in the game in terms of points. 126 points, only behind Harry Kane. And obviously, he was trolling FPL managers big at the start of the season. I think we've all, including myself, have still got that mindset of he's just not good enough to score goals in the Premier League. Well, every week he proves us wrong. He's not just reliant on penalties. Brentford, a bit like what I said about Leeds, are now playing with that freedom of, we know we're not going to go down, so we can kind of have a little go and express ourselves a bit. And Bomo and Tony link so well. But the reason I'm going to reject is purely based on the fact they don't have doubles. And I just think you're going to target the doublers. So even though he's been brilliant, I still want that if you own him, you don't sell him. Sure, fair play if you do own him still, but not one for me.
Yeah, I think Connor has actually nailed it. If you own him, keep. If not, don't bring him in now. I think that's true. And Nuclear, what he says too. I mean, we said this from the day that Ericsson signed. Ericsson makes all the difference for Tony, and he does. You know, Ericsson's brought a different mindset to that Brentford midfield, a different edge and creativity. Let's see if Brentford can hold on to him for next season, because I think there'll be a few clubs trying to sign Christian Eriksen, and I'm sure he'll be a little bit tempted if it's one of those teams in the top 6 that want to sign him.
Where could you see him going, Dean? Where would your money be on for Eriksen? I mean,
Honestly,
back to Spurs for Conte or?
That's an obvious one. I think that if Ten Hag ends up at Man United, then they should be trying to sign him. I think that losing Pogba, they need depth to their midfield. They need leaders. They need guys that have been there and done it. They need people that can still do it week in, week out. It's something to prove. Eriksen ticks every single box. I think he would like Ten Hag too. Might be able to help Van der Beek settle back in. I just see so many reasons why Man United should be trying to sign him in the summer. So let's see if they actually do.
Yeah. Guys, get your questions in. We've got a couple of minutes left before we do comment at the stream. And don't forget to give us a like when you chat in those comments as well. Arsenal been poor. Schmeichel in for Ramsdale. That's a move I'm making for my free hit. Would I move it without the free hit? I don't mind it. Leicester have got 3 doubles. So, yeah, more fixtures.
Yeah, I think so at this stage. Wouldn't have said it a few weeks back, but now, yeah.
Yeah. What's the latest on Mo's contract situation, Dean?
I think it's looking like he'll stay. The options that he wanted to explore from other clubs aren't there, like Real Madrid and Barcelona. They can't give him what he wants either right now. And if that's the case, then Salah's having to really consider the fact that even if Liverpool can't give him the type of money that he wants that would put him up there with a Ronaldo or a Messi or Mbappe, he also wants to become a Ballon d'Or winner. He wants to be the best African player of all time. He wants to be recognised as the best player in the game right now. Where else do you go? I mean, Liverpool are one of the top 2 teams in Europe right now. So pretty much anyone else is a step down. You can't guarantee you're going to get into any other team. It's a massive gamble. And so I think he's slowly coming around to the idea that he's going to stay at Liverpool. So at the moment, it's looking that way.
Yeah. Fofana as a double game week cheap defender, says Khaled. No, don't do it just because he's been injured for so long. And we've seen recently, haven't we? He kind of played against PSV and then was rested in the Premier League. He'll play against PSV on Thursday, almost promise you that. And then he'll probably only be good enough for one of those Premier League games. He's also, with Ramadan, like Rodgers has spoken about his energy levels before. Like he works miracles and still plays incredibly well. But you've got to think when you're fasting, it's bit more tricky. John's asked about Zaha in the run-in. Missed pens aside, he's missed a couple this season. Palace are scoring goals, Dean. Would you look at Zaha?
I don't ever look at Zaha anymore. I'm never picking Zaha again because it doesn't matter what form he's in. As soon as I pick him, he goes off form. So I'm not, but that doesn't mean he won't be good.
Connor's taken a -4 to bring Wood and Shah in for Tony and Rudiger. I don't mind those moves at all. Should I free hit instead? Because if you do free hit, Connor, you know, of course, your -4 is wiped out, which is the benefit of going early on those transfers. You've beaten some price rises. Shah went up, I think, Sunday night. Should I free hit instead? And then I'll get Tony and Rudiger back next week. Yeah, and then free hit, or you were playing 37. I don't mind 37 or 33. I prefer 37 over 33. But I also like the idea of getting Tony and Rudiger back and going for those Newcastle assets. Look at 37 and see if that's a team you think you're going to like. Like, do you need a free hit in 37? And if you want to play in your team, there's a website I can recommend, actually, and I'll put it in the chat. It's fpl.team. Yeah, just Google FPL team, and you can pretty much put your team ID in, and it will it will look like the FPL website, and then you can flick between game weeks and see what your team will look like in those weeks. So FPL team, I don't know those guys, but I use their website a lot, and they're very good. Alistair H, Alonso worth holding on to, Dean? We just don't know if he's going to start each week, do we?
No, I mean, I'd hold on to him maybe for now if you've already got him. But it is hard to predict what this Chelsea team's going to look like over the next few weeks. Obviously, Azpilicueta was ruled out the other day, late notice with the illness, but that won't be for very long. I don't see him being a great asset, but you never know. He does sometimes score points when he does get a run. So, yeah, if you get rid of him, you might yet regret it.
I'd see how he plays against Real Madrid. If he has a good game, he probably keeps his place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dangerous to sell. Denver's asked about best 5 million defender for just 1 week. I do think it's Newcastle, and I know it's weird backing Eddie Howe teams to keep clean sheets, but at Newcastle they've been doing that. Leicester and Palace both go to St James's Park. Leicester off the back of a trip to Eindhoven, and Palace off the back of a FA Cup semi-final at Wembley. I think both of them could be tired. Long trip. St James Park factor. I'm backing Newcastle both to score and to keep at least one clean sheet in that game.
Yeah, it's interesting. That is definitely interesting.
Any more questions, guys? I think last one this is going to be before comment of the stream. Who are we captaining this week? And look, on Friday at 7, make sure you tune in because you'll see a team reveal from both me, my locked free hit team, and then of course Dean's, and you'll see our captaincy. I think I'll back a double game week. I really do. And I think that will have to be a United player. I'm going to look a little bit at the Newcastle options. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Chris Wood captain, surely not Gianni, but I don't know. I've maybe talked myself into those 2 fixtures, but probably be Bruno, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably transfer somebody else in between now and then, which will be whoever I captain, I imagine, for a double. But if it's not, as the team I've got right now, to be honest, I would stick with Salah. He's got Man United at home, and there's a chance Liverpool win that game 4-0. And if Liverpool beat Man United 4-0, then Salah will get probably 2 goals.
Yeah.
Right. You know, that's how you have to read it at the moment. Like United, I know that you're backing them mainly because they got the Norwich game there, but you don't know what you're getting from that Man United team. You know what you're getting from Liverpool in that fixture, and you know that they're going to look to absolutely batter them to make a statement. And United, I'm just not sure when they do and don't have it in them. And if that's one of those games when they roll over, Salah scores, and it's suddenly you regret not captaining him. So I'm going to try and find a good double game week option as captain. But if I don't find it at the value that I've got going to have available, then I'm sticking with Salah.
Oh, I might have to get Salah in my free hit draft and not go Son. I didn't have Salah for that 5-0 at United when everyone captained him, and that really killed me. So maybe I learned my lesson. I don't know. I think we're going to have 2 comments of the stream this week. So look, Dean, because it's your first episode back, we're going to let you decide who gets comment of the stream. So
Okay.
let's show them both. We've got oh, nice from Mohammed, parenthood stream ?
Yeah, I saw that pop up when we were talking about our kids and your upcoming kid. Yeah, maybe. What would we call it? Chasing green babies? I don't know. We'll have to see.
Nuclear atoms. Man's got what get wood. Come on, nuclear. Come on, nuclear. I do like that.
Yeah.
But we're I don't know. We're not past that 9 p.m. threshold, nuclear. So we might have to go for the baby.
It's filthy language. So we're going to go with the safety of parenthood because we are both responsible adults and we're both going to be parents.
Oh, I love that. Oh, Dean, it's been lovely having you back, mate.
Yeah, it's been great being back, mate. It's very weird just logging on to YouTube and just checking, who'd been taking my place and how they've been getting on. I actually text Jules and said, I hope you were rubbish on the show tonight. I really enjoyed doing that one. So it's kind of her to let me back on. But yeah, it's good to be back, mate.
Hey, and hopefully, we'll be able to have Kelly and Jules on for on sort of guest appearances with us both in the not too distant. So keep your eyes peeled on that, guys.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for watching, team. It's been brilliant having so many comments in the chat tonight. It does feel like every time we do these episodes, we get more and more engagement, and that's why we do them live and don't just simply upload them, which would be easier to pre-record and upload. But check us out every Monday and Friday. We will be back on Friday at 7. FPL River said, it is Good Friday. I think we'll still go with Friday because it's a Saturday deadline. But yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. Before you go, please do hit that like button. and hit the subscribe if you're not already. But thank you for watching. I've been Gianni, he's been Dean, and we've been chasing green arrows.